Between Vlad and Benji, we actually were thinking about having a promotion where anybody under the age of 3 or over the age of 82 could race Benji for the base and to steal the base. I would like Vlad's chances. I think the best part of my job would be to watch that race and commentate, because I think there would be a lot of time to commentate on the 50-yard dash between anyone and Benji. Coincidentally, no one here from the Molina family is present. The best part of my job, I really do feel blessed. Every day I wake up and I love my family, and I hate leaving the house, but once I get to work, I hate leaving work. It's a dream job. I can't think of any single thing that makes it the best. It's just, when we work 100-hour weeks, which we occasionally do, it's because I'm watching 30 hours of baseball games, and I can't think of anything I prefer to do. Growing up as a kid with my dad, watching baseball games, he paid for me to be able to do that, and now, in essence, I get paid to do it, and it's a dream come true. I mean, shy of being talented enough to play Major League Baseball, I can't think of anything I personally would enjoy doing more, and that covers really every aspect of the job. And then with regards to, is anybody off limits, I think as an organization, we've always tried to maintain a balance between understanding who we have on. Every spring training, we make a list of players who we deem to be, quote, untouchable. And usually in spring training, it's about 25 players. By about May, it's about 15. By July 31st, it's like 6. And so the point is, I think we're open-minded to the thought of, our charge is to always try to make the team better, the organization better. We don't aspire to make so many moves that it's disruptive. I think we also recognize that with every move comes some degree of disruption. So if you think on paper it's whatever it may be, a 5% incremental upgrade at a specific position, I think you always have to keep in mind that just by taking somebody out of the clubhouse and putting somebody new in, there's some degree of disruption. So a 5% increase is probably a wash. And so we are sensitive to the fact that we're trying not to make so many moves that we're disruptive. And candidly, I think we felt like we may have gotten to that point this year. When we made as many moves as we did. When we went and got Jeff Francoeur, it was kind of one of those deals that was too good to pass up. And I don't mean to suggest that we think we're getting an all-star in Jeff Francoeur, but considering we had designated Joaquin Arias, considering we needed a right-handed bat in the outfield, considering he could run a little bit, he can defend, he's got some experience, it seemed like a no-brainer to us. The reason why it took us so long to make that deal was because in the back of our minds we were thinking, at what point are you disrupting the chemistry in the club and having too many new elements enter the clubhouse? And so we are hypersensitive to that. In my own mind, I'd sit here and tell you, there are a lot of guys I would not even consider trading this offseason. I think we have spent a number of years building the core of this team. The reality is we're not going to be able to retain all of them, but my hope and my goal would be to have a lot of the guys who are playing right now that we feel are contributing to a playoff caliber team here for the foreseeable future.
Thad, who are the players that have surprised you guys the most this year, surprised the front office with outperforming your expectation?
We had that conversation the other day. I think one of the silver linings in our mind of why we think that this team could be very good next year again is I don't know how many guys really have far outperformed what we thought they could do. I think there are more guys who quite frankly performed about at the level or slightly below the level, and I think if we were to roll the balls out there again, I think you could guarantee that Ian Kinsler is going to be healthy more next year, hopefully. That Nelson Cruz will be as well, and that the collective performance we get out of those two guys will be much better. Gentleman who asked earlier about the catchers, I think it'd be very difficult to get less production out of your catchers next year than we got this year. It'd be damn near impossible to get less out of your first baseman than we've got this year. So I think there's a lot of reason for optimism for next year, because we're not one of those teams that is winning now based upon the fact that it appears we have a horseshoe reigning over us and that everyone's out overachieving. But to name a few guys, we had a great scout who evaluated Colby Lewis. He came up in our system, so I think we knew him. I don't think anyone could have expected, he hasn't won a game in quite a long time, but I don't think anyone could have expected that he'd be as consistent in his performance and give us as many quality starts as he has. I think we're very encouraged by the transition that C.J. Wilson had from the bullpen to the rotation. I think everyone was kind of holding their breath on that one. We felt like we took one of the better left-handed relievers in the game, put him into a spot where we didn't know how he was going to perform, and in my mind, I think he's probably in the Cy Young discussion. And I'm not suggesting that I think he's going to win the Cy Young, but I think he should get some votes, and he should be they should be, in that, whatever it is, 5 to 10 range in terms of guys who get votes in the American League. He's been that important to our club. I think we've been very, very happy with the way Neftali Feliz has eased into the closer's role as a rookie. He's had a few hiccups along the way, but for the most part, every time he's had one step back, he's taken 3 steps forward. I think he's learning a lot in that role. I don't think you can underestimate how much pressure and stress there is in that role, and I think he's learning as he goes. But the one thing, our young players, between he and Elvis Andrus, and to a lesser extent Julio Borbon, they don't shrink from the pressure. I think we're very encouraged with Alexio Gando. This time last year it was, here we go again, the 5th straight year where these guys haven't been able to get in the United States, and here he is now pitching in a very important role for us. David Murphy continues to be a warrior for us. Every time somebody gets hurt, he steps in, and we feel like we're not really missing much of a beat. But I think the overarching message is, while we're pleased with a lot of these guys' performances, I can't sit here and list 20 of our 25 guys who we felt are surprises, pleasant or otherwise, and I think that bodes well for our future. Every year, regardless of your record, you have to submit a playoff roster on August 31st, which up until this year seemed like a cruel, cruel joke. But this year we put a lot of thought into it, and I think there's a lot more thought to be put into it. We're going to debate internally how many pitchers you go with on a 25-man roster. I think we're going to be just probably shooting for 11, possibly 10, depending on how the off days play out and how much momentum some of our starters have going into it. I think more likely than not it'll be 11, which means we'll have 1 extra position player that we normally have not carried. We brought up Esteban Herman recently with a thought in mind that he may serve as that base runner. He's not, pure speed-wise your conventional runner, but he has a great knack for stealing bases, and he seems to be one of our most productive runners. He also can play a number of infield positions. I think some of the more difficult decisions we're going to have is utility infielder between Blanco, who's certainly put himself on the map in the last 2 to 3 weeks here, Guzman, Herman, that grouping of guys. How many outfielders do you actually hold? Do you keep on the team? Do we consider taking 3 catchers? Those are a lot of the decisions we're making. And then, quite frankly, if we're shortening up the bullpen and potentially putting one of our starters into the bullpen, who's the odd man out? I think we feel as if that's the strength of our team. And quite frankly, it's going to be tougher taking that guy off the team probably than the extra position player. I don't think we sit here feeling like we have 20 position players to choose 14 from, whereas I think we do feel like we may have 15-ish pitchers to choose 11 from. But ideally, we would definitely have a runner on the bench. I think the question is how many utility players you carry. The beauty of our team is I don't think we see too many guys who we have to defend for. So we may try to keep a little bit more offense and speed.
I want to squeeze a quick question here. You got one? Okay, go ahead and step on up. Look, we're all friends here. This is very private. No one has the internet. We want to know, what it's been like behind the scenes with new ownership, new vision. What are the changes? What are we going to see next year? You were mentioning a $200 million payroll. Tell us more about what's going to happen next year.
We're spending against a $200 million payroll. I don't know that we've actually got the green light on that just yet. I gave JD a raise the other day. I thought it was well deserved. Good touch. Yeah, the kind of the beauty of the process for us so far is with Chuck was on the periphery. Chuck Greenberg, that is, was on the periphery throughout the course of this year. He was in a tough spot where he really couldn't offer direction or participate in the day-to-day decision-making, but he was present enough that we got a feel for him and he got a feel for us, such that when he ultimately got the team, it really wasn't a significant transition for us. My sense is that there may be more of a change on the fan experience side. Chuck's background in running minor league teams and helping other people buy major league franchises, whether it's hockey or baseball, I think he's got a significant expertise on the sales and marketing side. He's been very helpful for us so far in participating in the baseball decisions, but my hunch is the most significant changes you're going to see in the offseason are going to be things that we hope will enhance the fans' experience when they get to the ballpark. In terms of the payroll, we're in a very good position right now. I want to say between now and 2013, we may have the 18th or 20th most guaranteed dollars locked up. We have a lot of flexibility. After 2013, we don't have a single player signed So we have a ton of flexibility in the short term. We also have a lot of young players who are coming into their own in the big leagues right now, and based upon the way the salary structure works in baseball, we don't have to pay them a ton of money. So whether or not Chuck gives us more money to work with or effectively the same amount of money, we have a window of opportunity right now where we could keep this type of team together. Cliff Lee kind of sits outside of that group. If we do end up pursuing a guy of that nature, the payroll is going to have to increase. My sense from preliminary discussions is that Chuck's open-minded to having a bigger payroll. I think our goal would be to try to put the best team we can on the field for opening day, but also keep some of our powder dry so that we can make some of the moves like we made this year, make some impact moves throughout the course of the season, make adjustments as we see fit to try to improve the team and try to make a playoff push for next year as well. I guess I should take a step back. I definitely appreciate everyone coming out to an event like this. I can't begin to tell you like what I think the group of these three guys do in our community to help build fan interest. And honestly, like having been now with two other teams, that does not happen elsewhere. You guys are very, very blessed to have people who have this much passion about baseball, this much passion about the Texas Rangers, who are willing to like open their doors and the access that they have to you guys. It's tremendous. And I also, don't take it lightly, the opportunity to get to come and talk to you guys and have you guys care what I say. It speaks more in my mind as how great this job is. And I do want to share that with as many people as I possibly can. When I moved out here, my mindset always was I wanted to be part of something special. I left the Colorado Rockies. The very next year they won the World Series. So JD, I think, is planning when he fires me. Depending on how deep we go this year, maybe this off season. But if they do, I would go to Vegas and bet heavy on the Rangers. I'm 1-for-1 in leaving an organization and then going to the World Series. Those are good odds right there, 1-for-1. But one of the beauties of our group, I think, is that we really don't have a lot of guys who are gunning for that next opportunity. I think we all take our jobs along the mindset of we want to be the best in the current role that you can be. I mean, I definitely don't lose sight of the fact that there are 30-ish assistant GMs in the world, and I get to be one of them. And if I can be the best at that, that is a very, lofty goal in my mind. I think we all want to be part of something special, and for us, part of something special is a team that could go to the playoffs on a consistent basis. Are we going to go 5 straight years? I don't know the answer to that, but if we could go 3 out of 5 years and put a ring on our fingers and bring something home to this community that they've never got to experience before, I think that would be all of our collective goals, and I think we all want to achieve that here. My sense from the interaction between JD, Nolan, and Chuck is that the three of those guys want to be together for a long time. And I think if JD's here for a long time, I think most of the rest of us will be here for a long time. I think we do also acknowledge that if we do get to the playoffs, and we're blessed to do that, that other teams will start picking off some of our decision makers, whether it's the scouts or some of our minor league coaches, and we're going to have to keep replenishing the stock. So if you guys have any recommendations on people who'd like to work in baseball and can make good decisions, we're all ears this way. We recognize that that's our lifeblood. Our people are our lifeblood right now. We're not the most robust group, but I think we're one of the better high-quality groups, and we work extremely well together.